Okay, this is an interview they're doing with Eric Weinstein, full interview. How can we foster an environment that promotes great science? There's no science. He says that it's been stagnated, which is true. Nobody listens. Even Sabine Hoffansfelder here is saying, even physicists got this wrong. Gravity is not a force, but what does that mean? It means she's wrong too, because gravity is a force. It's an extremely attractive force between the black and the glowy particles of the electron flood theory. It is a force. Everybody makes these claims and nobody will respond. I've tried everybody, shown my evidence, and not a single response. That's what destroys science. Okay, this is Sabine Hoffansfelder. 42,000 hits 3 hours ago. Gravity is not a force. No, that's not correct, Sabine. Now listen to what she has to say.
This video is all about Albert Einstein. Yes, that guy again. Einstein is famous for his theory of general relativity. It's taught us that gravity is not a force. And that's probably the most misunderstood physics fact ever. Like, even physicists get it wrong all the time. Gravity is not a force. And since there's no force pushing down on you, that means you're currently accelerating upwards. Unless you're watching this from the ISS, in which case please say hi to the moon. How does gravity work if it's not a force? That's what we'll talk about today.
Exactly. It is a force. And this is gobbledygook. I'm sorry, Sabine. Okay, let's answer some questions right now. What is light? Well, that's light right there. It's laser light. Light is light. It doesn't matter if it's laser light, regular light, light from the sun. It's all supposed to go the same speed. Obviously, that is not correct. This is normal speed of light. We accelerated that light right here. Einstein totally wrong about acceleration, deceleration of light. We're totally wrong about the size of the universe because we have no idea where we are because light speeds up and slows down. Here's light slowing down. It came in fast, and it's slowing down. There's no question whatsoever. It was faster here than it is here. And by the time it got out to here, we could see that it has the two particles. And what two particles am I talking about? I'm talking about the two particles that make up everything there is in the universe. A black one and a glowy one. The glowy one can get big, it can get small, and it has all the energy. This is just nothing but a bowling ball, the black one. And this is from Fermilab, and they say exactly what I'm saying. This is the mass particle, and this is the point particle, has no mass and all the energy. We have actually found these right here. That's the particle. That is light. Nobody's ever seen this before. We're the first ones that have ever seen this. Because by the time they do it at Fermilab and CERN, they just have a big splosh of things all over the place. They have no idea where they came from. They found them. Here, well, actually, they were just right there. They found the particles, but we find them stuck together as light. And then we were actually able to separate them, which is fission and fusion. You see this? This is a muon neutrino, the black ball. The electron neutrino was a white ball. They're stuck together. When they explode, the electron goes into showers, yes. The muon goes on its way as a sterile muon. Yes, we did that. Nobody else has ever been able to do that in this type. They can see them splattered all over, but they're meaningless at that point. We can actually direct them and take the white and shoot it down into a substrate, and there's a very good chance we can get free energy easily because this white is already separated from the black, and that's the only thing you do when you create electricity. The only thing you do is to push the black away and let the white go in. It has no weight whatsoever, but it charges up cars. And that's what we want, is this white and the white only, and we can do it based on what I just showed you. This is the problem with science. Science is not allowed. They're looking for these. They're looking for these. We found these. They're very simple to find. This was with a cell phone. These are the magnetic fields that surround all of the different planets and so forth. And here's what they show. This is it. They say, yeah, they're out there. We know they must be there somewhere. We can find them in the next 100 years if we get enough funding. That's what it's all about now, is funding. There is nothing. These are the particles right here. You see that? That's a particle of light. Gravity is when the black particle, which the Earth has to have much more black than it has white in it, because every single bit of white goes zip, right down to the ground. Electricity is lightning, it's electricity, it's static, it's the white particle, and it goes right to ground. So gravity is the black particle. And it's the green is the same as the blue, is the same as the red. They're all the same particle. But this one's just much more powerful than the red, and the blue is much more powerful than the green. So this is the problem with science. It's not allowed to be seen. And I've tried to engage with all of these people that are making these claims, and I have not had one single response. Zero. The only thing I got was from Fermilab, from Don Lincoln, said, you're a tinfoil hat guy. Don't ever contact us again. That's your science. Okay, well, I know that sounds a little harsh today, but it's true. It's just complete, total nonsense. Now, listen to what she has. She's saying gravity is not a force. In a nutshell, why is gravity not a force? Well, listen to what she has to say. It's just, when she talks about no gobbledygook, I see nothing but gobbledygook.
Because if you are only exposed to the gravitational interaction, you fall, and that is measurably not an acceleration. If you need to freshen up your knowledge of forces and Newton's laws before taking on Einstein's ideas, the best place to start is brilliant.org.
No, the best place to start is Mudfossil University, where we can prove what we're talking about. Not all the stuff about, it's turned into gobbledygook. I'm sorry, Sabine. I like you. You're a nice person. I think you're truly interested, but I've tried many, many times to contact you, and zero response. And that's the way it is with everything. And I know you ask questions. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Well, here's what I think. No, not you, Roger. Okay, this is kind of shocking, to be honest with you. This is Sabine Hoffinsfelder, and she is a science communicator. She's got a ton of people, 46,000 hits on this in 4 hours. So people are paying a lot of attention to what she's saying. What she's saying just isn't true. Now, listen to what she has to say here. This is gravity is not a force. No, gravity is a force. It's an attractive force. The Earth is filled with more dark particles than the white particles. I'll show you in a second. Which means every time you have the glowy little particles, lightning, static, electricity, right to ground. Why? Because those white particles want to be attached to the black particles, which are the attractor. Black attracts, white comes down and glues. The white is very, very powerful, and the black is just nothing more than gravity. So that's where gravity is, and they don't know this because they don't even know what light is. Now listen to what she has to say, and she's going to be teaching a course, and she's got, like I say, hundreds of thousands of hits almost instantaneously. I think she's got millions, or at least 1 million subscribers or more. Now listen to this.
Tiny topics such as solar panels, quantum computing, neural networks, or computational biology. I even have my own course on Brilliant, which is a beginner's course to quantum mechanics. This will introduce you to the basics, like what superpositions and entanglement are.
See, superposition and entanglement, that's just completely not correct. Sabine is just not right. She's showing the light coming through here as the double slit experiment. Watch what she shows.
Like what superpositions and entanglement.
You see this? She's showing light coming through 2 different slits and flapping like this because it's nothing more than a wave of like water. And then they super entangle. And I do single slit, and we get the exact same patterns, only we can see the actual light particles now. They really have no clue what they're doing. And she's going to be teaching people, hundreds of thousands of people, millions possibly. She's got over 1 million subscribers, over 46,000 hits in 4 hours. And these people are going to be sucking that stuff up like it's real. That's the problem with science. They're forced to go along with people that have enough exposure that they can get enough people to listen to them. My stuff supersedes this thousands of times over, and it's not allowed, literally not allowed, because it bothers people like the science that we have now, which is nonsense. It's non-science. Okay, this is Sabine Hoffinsfelder. She just put this up. Gravity is not a force. What does it mean? It means you're wrong. It is a force. Light does not flap like this and do a double slit and make these interference patterns, as I have shown many times. So I have tried to contact her many, many times. She's giving courses now, training people on these kind of things which are not true. So I said here, this is my comment, gravity is the muon. It's the black particle attracting the electron neutrino, the white particle. 100% of matter is made of these particles in pairs. They can separate as they do in a nuclear blast, and the sun also can send them out in just randomness. We did it with a Venturi. Earth has more muons in it, which is the black particles. Therefore, it attracts the electron neutrinos, which are light and electricity and more matter. All are pulled to the Earth, which is a force. I have experiments that prove it, not guesses. Let Sabine explain the ultraviolet catastrophe. Nobody can explain any of these things because they don't understand the nature of the light. They just now starting to understand whether it's a particle or a wave, and it's both because of what I have shown you over and over and over. It's getting very tiresome that nobody will listen. If they just listen and pay attention, then we can have an accurate discussion about it. But this nonsense is just perpetuated nonsense. And it's only because she's got 1 million people following her. Look, 48,000 hits. It has 4,000 hits in 2 minutes I've been up here watching. And she's going to be training people about all of these different science concepts, which are just guesses, and they've been wrong forever. That's why they cannot even explain gravity. She doesn't even know what gravity is. It's not a force. Yes, it is a force. Nobody knows even what it is. They don't even know how it works. I know exactly how it works. It's the black particle pulling the white particle back, and I can prove this. Okay, my friends, this is Sabine Hoffensfelder, and she is giving science courses and teaching people what superposition is and how entanglement works and how interference works and this kind of stuff. It's just not true. She doesn't understand physics. You know, and she's a physics communicator, and she seems to feel that she's quite confident in what she's saying. But what she's saying is all based on stuff that wasn't true. So I show you how light works. It doesn't work this way. You don't get these interference patterns because of flappy waves like water washing over two slits. We use one slit. So I did comment up here, and I want her to comment back, and she never will. I've tried over and over and over. And she's got thousands of hits. Look at 48,000 hits in the last 4 hours. She's had 4,000 hits. Look at them jumping up here. Since I've been watching, within the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, whatever the time it takes for this video, she's had 4,000 or 5,000 hits come on, you know, more hits on this, her shot here. Now listen, gravity is a muon attracting the electron neutrinos. All she's got to do is read this. She can understand this. And let her explain the ultraviolet catastrophe. Nobody can explain any of these things. They can't even explain gravity. They have no idea what gravity is. She's saying it's not a force. Well, it is a force. And it's the black particles attracting the white particles to it. It's the same force that is electricity. Identical same force. Electricity is where white particles force their way into the black particles, which is nothing more than gravity from white to black. You want to see it? Sure you do. Now I just commented. Let's see what happens, which nothing will. All right, here's the deal. Everything consists of these two particles. There's nothing that isn't made of these. Light is made of these. Your teeth are made out of those. Your eyeballs are made out of these. Your hair is made out of these. Water is made out of these. And what do these two particles make? 1,823 of these little dipoles together make up a proton. A proton is not one big ball like this. It's just not that way. This is what they can't get their head around. It's made up of all these tiny little particles, and the particles are nothing more than magnetic. Once they just pop together like this. There's 1,823 or so becomes a proton, and it's basically stable. If you get a bunch of them coming off like this, it's not going to be stable. It's going to want a bunch more of them, or it's just going to fall apart like hydrogen does. When you put some extra sparks into hydrogen, it explodes like an atomic bomb because it just falls apart every little bit in piece. Normally, just a couple fall off and you add a couple more and so forth. These particles are not stable. That's what isotopes are all about. They just glaze over all this stuff. There is so many particles between every particle here. You see hydrogen? They say that's one proton and one electron. No, it's 1,823 dipoles. in the center, and then one more that wants to get in, but it says, it's 1824 really in the hydrogen. It's 1824 in the center, and possibly there's one more that wants to get in, it's attracted, but they said, no, we got just the right amount, stay out. And that's what stability is. When they get to the exact right amount, each one of these, they're stable. But every one is just nothing more than a big accumulation of tiny little particles. So instead of helium being 2 protons and 2 neutrons, it's 4 times 1823 or so. So it's 7,350, something like that. Particles, not just 2, not just 1. That one there is 1825 or so. So this is all wrong, what they've been saying, and I can show that gravity is from this black particle. And they can separate, and they did it out in space. The Russians did it. All right, you saw the black and the white particle. The black particle literally is mass. That's the mass of everything. The white particle is the glowy part, is the energy part. All right, and it is sucked down to the mass. So they're normally sort of equal, one equal to the other, like this right here. This is what particles should look like. A black and a white together, a black and a white together. That's pretty much what it is. They're all little bar magnets. And when you put 1823 together, you get to a proton. This is a photon. It's the smallest stable particle there is. The black and the white can separate. We did that. We separated them. Right here. You see, these are the particles from Fermilab. I showed you those. And this one is really matter. The dark matter is matter. The white matter coats the dark matter. See how it says it has a glowy edge around it? Yeah. You're never going to see that because light bounces back at you from the glowy part that's around the dark matter. But the dark matter sucks the white particle to it. That's why it's glowy around it. And here it is right here. This is nothing more than photons. This is the smallest particle that exists that is stable. And what does stability mean? Stability means they're not going to fall apart. They come through the air and they stay together. When they bounce off of something, you see light coming back. It depends on how fast it was coming and what it hits as to what color you see back. But these are stable. And when you get just one of these, like when you're looking right here, black and one white, that's what we would always consider an electron. That is not stable. That will want to combine with another one of some part. It wants to go in as heat to warm you up, or it wants to go in as an attachment to another molecule, and it just changes that molecular structure. All right, but in light, this is exactly what they look like. This is photons, and we accelerated those photons, which you're not supposed to allow. That's not allowed for in science. This is acceleration, no question whatsoever. And this is fission, where the black broke away from the white, no question whatsoever. This is fusion, where the black came back to the white, no question whatsoever. These are electron showers, all right? No question whatsoever. This is undeniable science and not allowed. Sabine is going to teach that light flaps this way and this way. You need 2 slits, and one of them goes that way, and that gives you the interference patterns. No, this is a single slit. Light does not flap like a wave. Light spins as a particle, and because it has a big magnetic field surrounding the ball of magnetism, it has to push everything out of its way. That's why I showed you that first wave. You see this? As this is coming through the air, it's spinning like this. But what's in front of it has to get out of the way of its magnetic field. It's like a ball of magnetism. It's spinning inside that ball of magnetism. All right, this is a ball of magnetism. It says, everybody get out of the way, I'm coming through. They're magnetic too. They got to push out of the way. They glow, we glow. All right, so that shows the particle going forward in a spinning just like this. It spins sometimes off that way, it spins sometimes off this way. Generally, it's going to end up, most of them going through the center. This is a single slit. It has nothing to do with what Sabine is talking about. They're just wrong, and they will not allow themselves to look at what is possibly right. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I think I am. I think I have the evidence to show that light is a particle. It consists of both those two different particles that they have seen at Fermilab. They know what they are. They just don't know where they came from, because they never see them like this. They see them just splashed all over the place because they're using protons. We're using light to start with. We're way down in this range to begin with, so we don't ever have to deal with the things they deal with. They just deal with big blobs of goo, and then they sort through it for literally for years, hundreds of people for years, and then they finally say, wow, look at that. We see those a bunch of times. There must be something to this. These must be the tiniest things that exist. They're right. They are. But they're normally glued together. They call them gluons. They're normally not separated like that. But we did separate them. And so did the Russians in outer space. They put charged particles in a vacuum chamber, and they surrounded a dark core, which is nothing more than a black hole. See, this I think this was back in 2014, maybe 2015. And I contacted the Russians about this, and I also contacted Don Lincoln at Fermilab about this. Don Lincoln told me that I was crazy and don't ever contact them again. And the Russians, I didn't get any response from them, but this was what they got, was this black hole surrounded by the white particles, which is the charged particles. Exactly what electron flood theory, dipole electron flood theory predicted. And I had this theory 50 years ago. It's just that now I have the evidence to back me up and support it that it is true, because I can show you the particles. Back then, there was no way to do it. All right, so this is the problem with science. It's not that science is there's not good science. It's that there's not people that will listen. That's the problem. This is the real problem. He told me never to contact them again, and I was a tinfoil hat guy. I'm showing him his same particles, and this goes back 8 years ago. You want a phrase? If I have a question, email us. And he emailed me back. He said, you're a tinfoil hat guy. Don't ever contact us again. I said, I have your particles. Don't ever contact us again. I showed you the particles they found. And that's the kind of response you get. And he's unusual, because normally you just get nothing. They just hide out. They don't want to even bother responding. At least Don did respond, but it was to not engage is kind of disgraceful for a scientist, to be perfectly honest. Don, I don't mean to be this way, my friend, but you can't hide forever. I have the evidence that shows the truth, and all you're doing is keeping us from getting free energy, as far as I'm concerned. It's not good. It's not good.